So 6 minutes late. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we are live now, 6 minutes later than expected. Hey, but hello, Tim. Hello, world out there. Happy New Year, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on the globe. This is Tim and Thomas, the product managers, and today we're talking about the HCL Domino v14 deep dive. So, Tim, want to say hello as well, just so that people
Sure.
recognize your voice?
Hello, everyone. Yes, welcome to this. It's been a bit of a rocky start, but we'll get there. I mean, Thomas and I have a great session lined up for you, so let's just kick off with the session and keep going. So Thomas and I decided that this time around we wanted to do something a little bit more relaxed for this first session. So if you've not met us before, this is what we look like. We are both product managers in the Domino family. We're also joined by Annalyn, who's one of our other product managers. She's based in the Philippines. Thomas is in Germany. I'm in the UK. And other people in the Domino family team are Trevor Talixon, who's in America, and Nancy Huber, who's our boss, and she's also in America. But today, it's just Thomas and I. So if you want to contact us about anything in this webinar, then please do use those email addresses. We will respond. Thomas.
Yes, here, me. Remember,
yes,
last year, December, there was a product launch event. We launched Domino version 14. You were in Chelmsford, you were in our headquarters presenting
Yep.
the webinar, presenting at a webinar together with Richard Jeffs, together with Andrew Manby and a few others.
And Trevor.
Yeah, and Trevor, certainly. So that webinar, if you haven't had a chance to watch it, Tim was so kind to create that QR code for you so that you can take a look into this. It was just a 1-hour webinar, unfortunately, because there was so much content that we could have covered. And our customers said, hey, can we actually do a bit more than that? So Tim, I think you came up with the idea at first, saying, let's dig into the details, let's dive deep into our product set, telling people about what's new and also going into the technical bits and pieces so that we can provide the knowledge people need to get ready for v14 and upgrade to that release.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we had 20 minutes in a one-hour session to describe what all is in Domino 14, and that was not nearly enough time. So yes, the idea was born that we should do this. So we've lined up with Dan from marketing this series of webinars, and Thomas and I will be taking you through a whole range of information through to the end of February. We're pleased to say, on the 24th of January by Trevor, who's going to take you through the same time 12.02 release and what was in that, and why you should upgrade to that and make good use of it. But that's almost a diversion, a welcome diversion after the heaviness of server security. But then you'll get into the good stuff of auto notify. Myself and Annalyn are going to take you through the clients, the Notes Mail, Verse Mail, Nomad Web, and all the mobile stuff that's been going on. And then we'll come back to Thomas, who's going to take us through Admin Central and why that's important. And then lastly, we're going to finish off with a whole session about application development. And then I know that our amazing support team, the week after we do the application development session, they're planning a session on how to upgrade your Notes clients. So tips and tricks and best practice on how you get your Notes clients up to version 14. So stick around for that one. As we get closer to that, we'll add more details when they become available. So Thomas, should we talk about something quite interesting but technical?
Yeah, I was just about to say that this is the first session in this series of webinars, and we're just covering the overview. And the best thing to start the overview is licensing, because there are a number of customers out there on different license models, maybe customers looking at coming back to Domino, and well, a little bit of an information on what's new on licensing. just for a slide or two, because there are some interesting things that you can tap into. Yeah, let's dig into the licensing options. So
Cool.
I think it was on the next slide, just some highlights that the product family, Domino, can be licensed in different ways. There are popular license models such as the CCB license model, which stands for Complete Collaboration Business Edition, with its supporting unit CCX, the external edition for external users. But there are also other license models, even license models from past days. Certainly, these days, most customers are on the CCB license because it provides the best functionality, the best feature set. Those customers who may not be on that license model or who want to find out what it would take to switch to that model, there is a tool out there called the Domino License Analysis Utility, DLAU. There is a link down there, and I think the QR code also points to that, where you can analyze your existing environment and get a brief feeling for what your license needs would be. Next slide. What's the key point here at the CCB license model? Well, the CCB license model is focusing entirely on users, because users are what's driving our business. It's you, it's the customers. And so the CCB license model is really a simple license model where it's about the credentials that are allowed to log into the Domino environment. So I'm not going to bother you with all the details of the license model, but highlights are that with the CCB model, you also are going to get an unlimited amount of anonymous users, meaning anonymous users can use your systems free of charge, as well as something called known guests. And that's intentionally because it would allow you to build web applications, external facing websites for your user base with just the CCB license model. With other license models, this would have not been possible, or at least be more complicated. So again, the CCB license model is around and it provides some great options.
So Thomas, I'm a visual learner, right? This is all great, but it's just a bunch of words. Have we got anything that would help me understand what I don't get if I'm not on CCB?
Not that we haven't had prepared a slide for that.
Funny you should say that, Tim. Here's the next slide.
Yeah.
So as I said, folks, I'm a visual learner, and you know, whilst those words are important, this for me really helps me understand. You know, you can see there the top green line is CCB. If you're on a CCB license, you get everything apart from the VaultMX stuff. And if you want that, you go to the bottom line and you get VaultMX Go. But in the grey, all the previous licensing models that we've had, that's all based on either installs or PVUs, you can see there, or users, then it's the old licensing models, and it doesn't give you everything now. We're really trying to encourage you to take on the CCB licensing model because it's the best licensing model for you, and all the new stuff that we're bringing in is all available through CCB. So if you need a graphical representation as to why you would want to do this, this is it. Okay, this really does lay it out in really simple terms. That's why you want CCB, is because you get everything from now on. Okay.
So now that customers know about CCB, what do they actually get in V14?
Oh, that's interesting you asked that, Thomas. It's as if we've prepared a slide for that one as well, right? So
we should be training our slide transitions a little bit better.
So we did create a lot of value in Domino 14 by including some things in the box and adding a bunch of things to the licenses if you're on CCB. So Domino, Nomad and Verse are now part of the installer package that you download from FlexNet or the MyHCL software portal. And as you can see, what was available and what we shipped on December 7th when we did the launch of Domino 14 is listed there in that first column. Those are the version numbers that were available at the time. But we've been busy little bunnies, and ever since, we don't stop writing code, right? We don't just sit there and have a holiday after Domino 14, although, we did take a day off. But, since then, we've got newer versions that are available that, will work with Domino 14. So we recommend that you download those to add to your Domino 14 installation. So for instance, Nomad First and the REST APIs have all been updated since then, and you can expect to see more updates for things coming out. Domino Leap, for instance, same time. Nomad First, they will all have new updates fairly soon in the next quarter, so that you can see more benefit and more value from those products against your Domino 14 installation.
The good news is that Nomad and Verse are already coming pre-packaged with the Domino installer. You just have to choose whether to install them or not. The others, like Tim outlined here, need to be downloaded, but they are part of your license if you did choose the CCP license model. And they give you a rather complete environment, a rather complete set of functionalities to tap into.
The other thing to notice is that if you do have a Domino 1202 server with Nomad or Verse on it that are already at the latest version, so 1.0.10 or 3.2, and you upgrade that to Domino 14, it won't downgrade those products. It will leave them at the latest version for you. Similarly with the REST APIs, it will keep them at that level. It won't, it won't affect them. They'll stay at that upper level, and you can just continue forward. I think that's an important technical point to note, Thomas, because I've had that question come to me a couple of times, is like, if I've already upgraded, will it downgrade me? So I think it's good that we can reassure people that that's not going to affect them, right?
Also, I heard the first number of customers asking, hey, what's next, what's going to come? And I think it's not a secret that after a major product release, the team is working on the first fix pack to be released, and the timeline as well as the details that are going to be fixed are communicated in the normal way using the fix list database, which this QR code leads to.
But the fix list database, Thomas, we all know that it never shows you a date until the product's released, because you and I as product managers know that those dates can move, right? It's like sometimes they're not set in stone. Sometimes they can slip for whatever reason. So do we know when Fix Pack 1's scheduled for?
We are intending to have that by the end of the first quarter, so end of March, beginning of April, kind of. Of course, as you rightly said, details will be communicated.
Yeah. Cool, but it gives people an idea as to when we can, expect the first fix pack, right?
Yeah, and I think we should note that, I mean, we did add the link to the fix list database here, but one of the cool new features of Domino v14 is update notifications, and that's actually quite cool, because Domino 14 will let you know when a new version is available if you opt in to the update notifications feature that we are going to talk about. Now, Tim,
yeah, you got a whole webinar about that, right?
Yeah, not just about that, but all the surroundings of what you can do with update notifications, auto upgrade, and the like. More about that later on.
Yeah, brilliant. So we talk about a Domino family, right? So there's always a family tree when you have a family, and this is our family tree, and everything stems from Domino. Domino's the root of our existence, and as you can see, we've got branches going off to Nomad, off to Notes, and off to Verse. We've also got branches off to Outlook through HTMO, HCL Traveler for Microsoft Outlook, and then we've got, the roots of what we create for Domino are managed by the admin, Domino administrator, and Domino designer that allows you to create applications.
Yeah,
we are going to cover.
I see some new logos there as well.
Yeah, there's some new logos. Yeah, well, I'll get to those in a second, Thomas. I'm getting there. Nomad also has a designer now. So in 1.0.10, we're going to cover this in the client session, but Nomad also has a version of Designer, so you don't actually need the Designer if you're only going to do stuff that works in Nomad. You can use the Nomad Designer now. But there's also Domino Leap, which is a different way of creating applications over there on the right-hand side. And then, of course, you've got VoltMX with VoltMX Go, which is like a full stack developer environment where you can create amazing applications on all sorts of platforms and still have the data based in Domino. So Thomas, you said there's some new logos. You're absolutely right. There's one that people will recognize, the Marvel client logo at the top there. I'm pointing at my screen. This is brilliant. I'm pointing at my screen instead of using my pointer. So at the top here, you've got the Marvel client logo that people will have seen for many, many versions, right? We've had Marvel from Panagenda for a long time now that allows you to manage your installations and configuration of Nomad and Notes clients. But there's a new one down here called OnTime. And OnTime's really, really useful, and we're going to cover that in just a second. Thomas, what are the asterisks for? Because I noticed we've put an asterisk next to this one and Leap and Nomad. What's that about?
That's the products and components that you're going to get with the CCB license. So if you are a customer on the CCB license, you can use Nomad. You get an entitlement for Domino Leap and also OnTime in the box.
Oh, cool. So let's touch on OnTime. For those of you that don't know, OnTime is a fantastic feature that we've pulled into Domino and Notes and Verse as it is. So, you know, as a software developer, you try and create the best software that you possibly can. But there are times when you look at something in the market and go, oh, do you know what? These guys have done a cracking job. We're never going to do better than that. So why don't we see if we can do a partnership? So we approached Jens, Lars, and Martin at Intravision, who create OnTime, and we asked them if they would be happy to do a partnership with us. And after a couple of easy chats, if I'm honest, we came to an agreement about what we were going to do. And OnTime have created this fantastic, group calendar solution that allows you to, if you work in any sort of team, in any sort of organization, this will really simplify, understanding who's where, what you can do, and how you meet with them, right? And in fact, Jens and I had a meeting this week where I was sort of, before Christmas, I'd mentioned it to him, I'd really like to see this. And, after Christmas, he's showing me a demo of how they're going to solve that challenge. And it's like, wow, these guys really move fast. And all of those things that they create, well, pretty much all of them, are going to be available to you in a freemium version. There's two versions of it, a freemium where you don't do anything and a freemium that you sign up to. And it's either 25 or 50 users. And I think the only thing that you have to do is join their mailing list and ask for a license key. They'll send you a license key, you put it in, and off you go, 50 users and a bunch of features. Obviously, there's more features if you buy a license from them. But let's take a look at one of the things that they've added. So they've created this brand new thing called Share My Time, which allows you as a user to set up an external way of giving people access to your calendar. So here you can see that I've got, this is their demo system, and I've got time that I'm allowing on a Thursday between 1 and 3 to do demos for OnTime and talk to my customers about, ideation. So when I've gone to that link that it's created there, I can, as a user, once I've got the link from them, I can select, oh, look, they do it on a Thursday, brilliant. So I'm free on March the 7th. I can't do 1 o'clock, but I could do 1:30. So I'll spend an hour with Chris and talk to him about my ideas for OnTime. So we're going to do an ideation meeting. Here's who I am. I'm Bob Cope. And then that's it. That's all they need to know, my name and email address, so they can send me an invite back. I put in my request for that time. That goes back to Chris. Chris approves that. And then I get an invite back. Chris gets an invite, and then we meet at that date and time. So it's a really, really easy, simple way of sharing your calendar or chunks of your calendar with people outside your organization or people inside your organization if you want them to book meetings with you. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic way of just making sure that everyone's got the right information.
Oh, and it's quite useful for all the million users out there. Think of people from like insurance brokers, people who have to work with any form of customers, scheduling meetings across company boundaries. That's the perfect tool for that. And yeah, it comes as part of your CCB license. Isn't that great?
That's awesome. Talking of perfect solutions, let's talk about this one, right? So
yes.
Domino Leap now, right?
Domino
One
Leap.
of the other logos for creating applications. Do you want to talk about this, Thomas?
Oh yeah, Domino Leap, born a couple of years ago from the idea to make application development even easier on the basis of Domino. I know that we have a lot of experience here amongst the audience, and a lot of people will remember the days when building Domino applications was really something that an end user could do. And Domino Leap is bringing that kind of simplicity back into the product, but now based on a web browser. Domino Leap is a product that has been available or is available to customers who pay a license, but now with v14, we are adding this product into the CCB license for up to 5 applications free of charge. So this is a really, really cool product to enable your business to build applications, web applications, really, really quickly. I mean, there are some few screenshots down there outlining how easy it is to build an application from a tool set or drawing a workflow using the graphical workflow engine that's built in. But I think seeing is believing, and just looking at our time, I think we have enough time for a small little demo for those who have not seen Domino Leap yet. Tim, can we just build a small little app?
Sure, come on then. So I'm going to edit this application. This used to be called Domino Vault, for those of you that remember, right? So let's create a little survey form. Let's put an image at the top here, Thomas, so that we can, tell people what it was about. So logos, December versions, Domino, icon. I think I need the icon. No, I want the words as well. And yeah, no, that's going to take, let's pick the horizontal one so it goes across the screen. Brilliant. Let's put in a separator line. There it is. Excellent. And then we want to do a survey. So, okay, survey. There we go. Awesome. So I've got my survey link. Column looks a bit, brilliant. That's better. Right. So let's change the answers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in some words and also store the value as a number so that people can pick a word that's nice and friendly, and then when I want to do some analysis on the results, I can do it with just a number. Okay, so bad, okay, good, great, and I think the final one, Thomas, should be awesome. What do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay, great.
Awesome.
So
awesome it is.
Awesome it is. Need to ask them what they're answering for, right? So what did you think of the webinar? And then obviously we need to change that, which is please rate the webinar. Cool. Survey done, Thomas. So let's save it.
Easy as that. And with a bit of luck, we can even tell the audience how to access the application you just built.
Sure. So let's deploy it and get the URL. Excellent. There you go. So there's the URL. I'll take that. Let's see if it works first though, right? So I think it was an awesome webinar. Click on submit. Job done. Excellent. So there you go. I'm going to cheat and skew the numbers by 1. So do you want to talk about this for a second while I create a way for them to get to that survey?
Yes, indeed. So for the more technical people in the call, what Tim just did was to build a web application, but under the covers, it was a Domino application being created, a Domino NSF file being created with the application definitions in there for this web application. Tim's going to create a QR code for all of you so that you can rate the webinar right in context. So couldn't be more live than this. But of course, you can do a whole lot more than building survey slides. The Domino Leap team actually maintains a showroom. The QR code to that is on the lower left with really a bunch of templates, a bunch of ready-built applications that you could start using or take as a basis for your own application. And this is really a broad set of, a wide range of applications, from travel expense claims to bike rentals and signature demos and the like. It's really, really easy to build those applications, and you don't have to be a developer. You don't have to have a doctor's degree for building those apps, nor the ability to write any code. It's as simple as you've seen, drag and drop, point and click, and you have your application built. So easy that you can even ask your teenagers at home building new applications. I think on the next slide, we have a few more.
I remember this. Thomas very proudly to me one day came and said, "Hey, look at this Leap app, look at this Leap app, go take this survey, go take this survey." And I was reading through it, it's all in German, and I'm not a brilliant German speaker, but I was reading through it and I'm like, oh yeah, what a graphics card. And I'm looking through this going like, this is cool, this is good. Well, Thomas, what's all this about? And he says to me,
yeah,
Thomas, what did you say?
Tim is talking about the screenshot to the upper right-hand corner. That was my 13-year-old son building a survey, a little quiz for a presentation he did at school. And just for shits and giggles, he did that with Domino Leap, just seeing how that works. And I can tell that Daddy didn't help him building the app, so he did it all himself and did this quiz with his class. So that's how cool it is. Really, it brings back the simplicity and the fun of building applications. And now it's up to you, really. With the CCP license now containing up to 5 Domino Leap apps, you should seriously roll this out and start building applications because it's fun.
Thomas, I've just realized that we've put that survey on the wrong server. So I've just gone to try and get to that survey from my phone with the QR code I created, and it's asking me to log in. So I'll see if we can move it, but I'm not going to show the QR code that we've created. We'll have to skip past that.
Okay, so that means maybe we can fix it in the following slides and at the end come back to it, or let's see. Anyway, this was just a little teaser of what you get with
what have
the
we
license.
done, Thomas? These are the things that we've added, but what have we done, right?
Well, a whole lot of new features, a whole lot of bug fixes being done in the product release. We've launched the product with a teaser on auto upgrade, with a teaser on passwordless authentication, with pass keys and all of that. We're not going to show a demo of this in this overview webinar because we would be running out of time if we were to do so. But in the breakout webinars, in the webinar where we are talking about the details, we will not only demo these features, we will also let you know how to configure them, what you need to know about tuning, best practices, and the like. Certainly, you can see that HCL's investment in Domino is continuing. With V14, since HCL took over, more than 820 features were added, more than 2,400 bugs were fixed, and just in V14 there were 366 alone, from which more than 100 were security fixes. So that by itself is a good reason to upgrade.
Okay, cool. So there is a lot going on inside of Domino and lots of improvements, and we just want to include this slide here so that you could have some absolute solid facts to take to your management to persuade them that Domino 14 is the best thing to upgrade to, right? We are modernizing things. We are making sure that security is absolutely dealt with and up to date, and we are making sure that we are perfectly in line with what's going on in the operating system environments. And we're trying to make sure that it's easier for you to increase your Domino ROI by doing things like reducing your admin costs top to bottom. Okay, we're doing the whole thing. So Thomas, let's talk about Domino and get into some of the specifics there. Let's get technical.
Let's get a little bit more technical. And as I said, we are not going to cover all the bits and pieces and all the details here in this round, in this overview webinar, but a few sparklers along the way. So talking about the Domino server, what people out there need to know is that with a new product release, we are updating the system requirements to be current, meaning our goal is to provide support for current operating systems that are currently supported in the market space. So there is a lot to say here, and I tried to outline what has changed compared to 12.02. So as you see, we support various platforms from AIX to Windows Server, where certainly the choice is yours. I mean, we don't mandate to be running on either or of these platforms, and you may have your reason to prefer one or the other. Good news is that we've updated the system requirements for all of those, with one thing that I'll always need to say when talking about system requirements, and this is, if you are a SUSE customer running on the SUSE Linux operating system, please watch out for SUSE's next update, because Domino is dependent on a library, on the glibc library, which the most current version of SUSE Linux does not provide yet. So we've of course reached out to SUSE, and they said they are going to provide that in one of their next updates. The plan was to have that done by SUSE in the first quarter, but with that, SUSE support will be provided again. Up to now, it would not work. So please keep that in mind, and for any questions, for any details, please tap on the tech note outlined to the lower right. Yeah, I don't think we have time to go into each and every line, so let's move on to the Linux distributions, because Linux is not just one operating system, it's actually multiple flavors thereof. HCL is running, compiling the product with Red Hat Linux, meaning that's our compile base, and that's fully tested and certified to be a supported distribution. However, there are plenty of more Linux distros out there, and you may have your reason to run on one or the other. What we've done is to create an open source repository collecting documentation on which Linux distribution customers have been running Domino on. That does not mean that HCL can answer any specific questions on your Linux distribution of choice, but it will give you some feedback from other customers whether Domino is running successfully or not. And as you can see on the right-hand side, there is a screenshot of this website. Red Hat certainly being certified, and others are quite good and running just well. Some have not been tested, or some are known to not be working okay, such as SUSE in their latest version. If you have something to contribute, you're more than welcome to chime in. This is an open source repository, so share your experience. And yeah, submit a pull request on your updates. Small little reminder, we are still running a Linux survey out there. So if you are a customer on Linux, if you would please respond to the Linux survey, giving us some little feedback on what's your preferred Linux distribution and why that is. So that would be really, really helpful to us. Let's dig into more details on the server side. We were talking about system requirements and platform support, but we've also invested in the core with updating our compilers. On the next slide, Tim. Updating our compilers means we run our source code through a more current compiler. And that means generally better optimization, better code checking, better support for what business partners want to build, meaning business partners building add-ons for the product can now use a more current compiler. And of course, the compilers that we are using to build our product, they also have a product life cycle, and we want to make sure that we can support you with latest updates for the years to come. So of course, we have to update our tooling, that being Visual Studio and the GCC compiler on Linux. Like I said, we are using Red Hat as our compile platform. You should know that because especially on Linux, that comes with dependencies. Anyway, talking about updates, we also have invested in core updates by updating our Java virtual machine. I said that a few times in previous webinars, so if you had a chance to attend those, Domino until version 12 is shipping with Java, the JVM version 8. And like I said, when updating or when releasing a new product version, we are looking ahead. We are looking at the long-term support on the platform and the platform dependencies. So we really want to give you the vision on what's about to come, what the future is going to provide you with. And that's certainly an investment in Java being updated to version 17. To be honest, the version here is the long-term support version of Java 17. All in all, that's providing you with better performance, better startup time. There's improvements in memory management. And we are going to talk about those details in the breakout webinars and also going to do some demos here. Just keep in mind, if you are running an environment that's dependent on Java because you have developed your own Java application, or you have a Domino-based application, OSGI plugin or the like, that somehow uses Java, please, please, please retest all your Java applications before upgrading the server to version 14. Especially watch out for any customizations you've done in the JVM security file. Watch out for any custom jar files that you have deployed or like OSGI plugins of any form. That's just a reminder. Like I said, we are going to talk about more details in the breakout webinars, but for an overview, I think that's more than enough.
So Thomas, we often get asked that about, the versions of Java that we use, and with the announcements from people like Oracle about charging for Java, we often get asked if that's something people need to worry about. And I know you created this really insanely technical slide because this is a deep dive after all, but I think it's important that you tell people where we are, and everyone can see we are here, right? So we're in the green box, but what does that mean looking at this spider's web of Java stuff?
Yeah, I'm not going to explain the entire chart here. Sorry.
Cool, because we've only got 20 minutes left, or 15.
Yeah. Java isn't Java. There are plenty of vendors compiling the Java runtime environment themselves and shipping their own JDKs and so forth. However, every now and then we are getting pinged by customers saying, oh, your product uses Java. Do we have to pay a license to Oracle? And certainly the answer is no, you don't have to. And the details for that is outlined here. We are basically using the IBM Semero runtime, which is an open and free of charge version of Java that's embedded in Domino. As simple as that. And I think the rest is outlined in a blog post. There is a QR code. If you want to read more, scan the QR code.
Fabulous. Thanks, Thomas. You've made something very difficult seem fairly easy. So well done. Awesome. So moving on. This is what you're up to next, right? So next week, you're covering off all of this stuff.
And next week, I'm going to search for exactly this passkey that's shown in the picture, because I remember I have one of those in my drawer. And no, we are not talking about the USB key here. We are talking about all things new in Domino server security, all the goodies that we have added. And we are really digging deep in the bits and pieces, looking at what you can do to improve federal login, what you can do for authentication options, also any cipher improvements we've done on the TLS stack and so forth. So basically, a closer look at anything that has improved in Domino server security. Please join the webinar number 2 on 17th of January, which is pretty much exactly in a week from now.
Yep, but if you join now, there'll only be 15 minutes left. So let's move on. Towards the end of January, you're also going to be talking about, we talked about this earlier, right? Auto update, the fantastic new feature that allows your Domino server to go and find out if there's a new version or a fixed pack or anything else, right? But there's more to it than that. And you're going to cover all of that in lots of depth on the 31st of January, right?
Including the scenarios, examples, tips and tricks and the like.
How to deploy it.
Yep. And what other benefits you can take from that feature. And there's one more
Awesome.
webinar on February the 14th. That's the
Hey,
Admin
Valentine's
Central
Day,
webinar.
what's not to love?
Say again?
Valentine's Day, what's not to love?
Yeah, admins. And so
Love your
the new
admin,
admin
right?
central, and anything that's related to this. But we are also going a little bit beyond that. Basically, we're taking the admin persona and providing them with an overview of all those great things that are new that they need to know, that an admin needs to know about V14. So join that webinar if you are an admin or want to be an admin.
And if you are an admin and manage some servers, please don't forget to take the admin survey and let us know the stuff that you do and the environments that you manage with Domino. That really helps us out.
So far
Okay.
about the survey. Come on, Tim. We want to know about the clients.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do what Thomas did, but do it for the clients. Okay. So we're keeping up to date with everything going on around the operating systems as well. So you'll see that the biggest change that we've had is around the Mac OS versions. We've added Sonoma support. We've added M2 support, which is good because, you know, people are starting to get M2s, and we've dropped 11 support. So Mac OS 11 Big Sur, we don't support that anymore, basically because Apple don't support it. And if you have a problem, we can't get help. We've also dropped support for 32-bit clients. So you'll have noticed this, that we've talked about this before. We started showing this slide back at Engage last year, at the beginning of last year. And we are no longer going to be supporting 32-bit basic or standard for Windows. We are going to be moving to a 64-bit only, and that's because all of the operating systems that are currently supported by operating system vendors are 64-bit only. The other part is that we've upgraded our compilers, as Thomas has already told you, and those compilers only support 64-bit compilation now. So it's really hard for us to keep around an old unsupported compiler just to create a 32-bit version of the Notes client. So we've simplified things, right? If you need Notes Basic, then you could use Nomad, and that would be available to you in a browser. Obviously, that, you know, the basic functionality would be available to you. Or you could use the Notes standard version, both of which are available for 64-bit on Mac or Windows. Talking of that, when you do an upgrade from 32-bit to 64-bit, there is a bunch of things that change. You will notice that your data will move from program files x86, sorry, to just program files. But the installer has been programmed to manage with that, and it will move your data path and move your program directory across into that new path for you. Or you can go and change it back if you really wish to, and make sure that it's in the right place for the stuff that you've got going on. You know, you don't have to change it. The system will deal with it for you. But you know, when we're talking about verifying compatibility of Java and stuff like that, Thomas is absolutely right. You need to go and check all of the add-ons that you've had previously as well. Now, we've been out and spoken to the people that you can see here, people like Team Studio, Ytria, Panagenda, and asked them if they've got 64-bit versions of their add-ons and their plugins, and they've absolutely assured us that they do. They do have those, and that's absolutely fine, brilliant. And then, you know, but you should absolutely ask the vendor if they've done anything about it. We couldn't find information, for instance, from Notes to Paper or FewClicks. So you should check in with them to see if they've done anything since we've released Notes 14. Now, they will need to do a recompilation to bring that up to 64-bit so that you can use it in Notes 14. So make sure that you're speaking to the vendors of the tools that you use, okay? Please make sure that you do that, because we'd hate for you to be in a situation where you've got a tool that you rely on for your business and you can't use it. That would be tragic for us and for you. But we're going to go more deep. We're going to go deeper and deeper into the Notes, the Verse, and the Nomad. And we're going to cover off some Traveler stuff as well that's changed, so that you can get the best information that you can. We're going to do that on the 7th of February. There's a lot of information in that session, and I need the time. I need the time to create that. So Thomas, there's a new way of getting software too, right? Do you want to talk about this?
I was about to propose that people spend the time of waiting for the next webinar by, well, looking at the new software download portal, which is, surprise, surprise, well functioning, well organized, and fast, believe it or not. So the new download portal at my.hcltechsoftware.com allows you to get access to the software that you are licensed to use. So just log in with your existing credentials and as you can see in this small video, browse to the software, for instance, the Domino server or the Notes clients in the latest version, and download them. Good news also is that in each product category, you will find useful links that actually belong to the product that you're looking at. So everything much better organized than it used to be before. We've demoed this last year and already received quite some good feedback, but we really want everyone to know about it, and that's why we had to include this link here in this slide deck.
I've heard nothing but good things about this, and I must admit that I use it all the time. The best thing for me is that it's got useful links, and I know that we provide them, Thomas, from the product management side of things, as links as to what people should be looking at for each release and each product. But it's also really, really fast because there's local caches all around the world. So we're using some caching technology that means that your download speed should be much, much faster. So you should have a much better experience using this than the the FlexNet tool, which if something's not in here that you need from one of the other software brands, you will still find that in FlexNet, and indeed you will still find all of our software being published to FlexNet as well still. But this is a much faster option if you're using Connections, Domino, any of the associated entitlements with Domino, or same time. You'll find those software products there for you to download.
So speaking of fast, people are looking for updated information. People are looking for education material, and couldn't be any faster. Just last year, I think a few days after Domino version 14 was released, also a book was released on the Amazon bookstore for HCL Domino v14 administration for Windows. It is the first release. It is in German only, I have to admit, but I mean, look at this. It has 612 pages. So you can get this as a printed book if you prefer printed books covering all the information you'll need to know in several hundred pages, so to say, in all the details. This is really good news, and I think for some of
Christian's open to translating this to English, right? Because he's done some previously that he's translated, yeah?
He's the author of the book, actually is looking for support in translating the book to other languages, so please reach out to the author if you are interested.
Cool. These are the other books that he's done. So, he's not been sitting around doing nothing. He's done 2 books for Domino 12 administration, all sorts of stuff about certificates and key rollovers. And then obviously there was an administration for Domino 12 that he did as well, but that was in German only.
We have to give credits to the right people. The blue books on the left were done by Manfred Dillmann, sorry, Manfred, and the books on the right, the yellow book on the right by Christian Buchacher.
So yeah,
anyhow,
fantastic
great
members
information
of the community
out there.
Creating content.
Yes, absolutely. Join in if you have more to share, if you want to add to the books. Sharing is the right term. We want you to build better looking applications. Tim and me were talking about Restyle as a means of redesigning an application with a better looking UI. But we want you to provide you even with better tooling with precise information how to style an application the best way. Our design team came up with the HCL design guide that we have demoed last year at various conferences. And good news is that as of last week, it is actually live. So you can now download the HCL design guide. It's a Domino application, not only providing you with color codes, font sizes, and so forth that go well together, but also coming with icon sets that you can use in your application. So the QR code leads to the open source GitHub repo where you can find the NSF file by clicking on the release tab. you are a developer, take a look at this. It's really an awesome resource of for building good-looking applications.
I'm so pleased that we pushed and pushed and pushed for the design team to finish this resource for everyone and allow us to get it out there, because it is a great resource that everyone should take a look at. So well done to the design team for finishing that.
Yeah, speaking of sharing, the design guide was not the only application or template we've open sourced. HCL announced an initiative for more openness. And the first stage of this is to open source parts of our product templates. So you can see the list here, from discussion database to team room, quite some well-known application templates that we are shipping with our product are now formally open source. That means business partners, developers, and so on can use the templates as a basis, as a foundation to their own tools. They can even change, modify them, and re-release them on their own website. That's all okay. The link is down there. Take a look and enhance them, make them better if you like. So you're more than welcome to chime in.
Well, that leads brilliantly into the one of the last, I think it is the last webinar that we're going to do, is how do you do app dev, or what's changed in app dev for Domino 14? And you're going to cover off a whole bunch of stuff in that, as well as I suspect you're going to show people the open source templates as well, right?
Yes, this and more. And I'm certainly not going to be doing this myself. I'm going to be supported by the development team. We're going to do demos of the various improvements of our development storyline. First and foremost, of course, the feature that all developers were asking for, which was improved source control and the Java improvements that I spoke about earlier, but also the smaller improvements that haven't been mentioned before. We are going to cover them in the webinar on February 21st.
Fabulous. Well, there's you said that people could take the open source templates, right, and change them and then republish them themselves, and they might actually want to put them in our new Domino marketplace, Thomas, which, apart from it having a bunch of business partner stuff in there in a minute, there's nothing to stop somebody putting up one of their templates, right?
Right, and this, we need to really roll the drums on that one. This is the first time we are showing the Domino marketplace here, and we're announcing the URL being live. So we have, together with the help of our Sophie team, built a Domino marketplace where business partners, developers, and individuals can share their applications, can market their existing tools, products, solutions, and add-ons to Domino. So if you are one of those groups, if you are more than welcome to join and submit your application, your tool, your asset into the marketplace to increase awareness for your products. There are a bunch of them in there already, and I'm getting several submissions on a day-to-day basis. But of course, there are 10 million applications, 10 million Domino applications out there. And I wouldn't be surprised if there would be more submissions coming in soon. But the question is, how do you actually submit a new solution to the portal?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Thomas. It's as if we thought of that already, right? So here's how you do it, folks. You just use this QR code or this URL on the right-hand side there, and you'll be able to put your entry, your template, your product into the marketplace and get some great visibility for it and share it with the world. Now, it doesn't have to be that you can download it from the marketplace. It could be that you just provide a link to it being somewhere else, but it's absolutely fine, and we recommend that you go and share as many applications as you want to share with others using the marketplace. Thomas is right. It's a big deal for us to publish this today. This is the first time that we've talked about it publicly, and we hope that you will take that on board and make sure that that marketplace is absolutely stuffed full with greatness that is all the applications that you all use in Domino today. So Thomas, we're really running out of time.
Indeed. Well, we started 5 minutes late, but let me add one comment, and that's of course the user side. I mean, end users business customers,
cool.
business partners out there looking for a solution, of course, more than welcome to go to the marketplace and search for a suitable solution, reach out to the vendor, to the provider for using this asset. Really great start, but as you rightly said, we are somewhat running out of time, and from what I can see, there are still one or two more slides.
Yeah. So let's get to this one. Thomas and I are doing a whole bunch of stuff with others, and we're bringing in guests as we need them. But there's a guest on our team, Trevor, who's going to do his own webinar because he's the guy who looks after Same Time. He's the product manager for Same Time. He's got a webinar in a couple of weeks' time that's coming up on the 24th of January. It's a couple of weeks' time, Trevor. I know you're listening, so you haven't got long to create a set of slides for this. So you best get squirreling into slide mode. But yeah, he's got a great bunch of stuff coming up. He's going to tell you about everything that's going on in 12.02, the latest release of Same Time, which came out on the same day as Domino 14. So on December 7th, you've had a brand new version of Same Time, if you didn't realize. And Trevor's going to take you all the way through that from, excuse me, from start to finish. So I think we can cover off just a couple of questions, if there are any. Dan, are you able to share any questions with us that have come in? Dan, are you still there?
I am still here. I was just trying to get off mute. So,
that perennial problem we all suffer with, right?
yep. There was a question quickly on, will this be recorded? And absolutely, we will post that on YouTube for replay. And when we follow up with folks that attended, we will provide the link to that. Okay. And it says, so here's one. It says, is there an upgrade path from V9 to V14?
Absolutely. There is absolutely an upgrade path from V9 to V14, and it's go from V9 to V14, but make sure you check, things like add-ons and extras that you've put into V9 before you do it. We wouldn't obviously recommend you upgrading your production systems without testing first, but you should just be able to go from V9 to V14.
And a very important recommendation is join the webinar about Admin Central, because this is where we are going to cover this scenario. There also is specific upgrade scenarios covered in the auto upgrade breakout webinar. So please join in if you can.
The other point we might want to make too is that the end of support for Domino and Notes V9 and V10 is coming up June 1st, 2024, coming up this year. We're about 140 days away from that, so it is important to keep that in mind. Another question is, do you know when HCL Nomad 10.0.36 is released?
10.0.36. Is that one of the mobile versions?
That's all that's in the question. I don't know.
Okay. Whoever that is, Dan, hopefully we can see that outside of this webinar. We'll come back to that person on that, because I'm fairly sure that's a mobile release, and I'll need to check the release date. I know there is a delay currently on a couple of the mobile releases, and I want to check before I say anything as to which ones are delayed. But yeah, we will come back to that person. Hopefully we'll come back to you via email.
Now, there have been a couple of questions about the webinar itself, but the webinar login that you received for this particular session is the same login that you need for all of the webinars. So you register once, basically, and join all of the webinars with that one login that you receive from GoToWebinar. So
yeah, we're trying to be economical with the electrons, right? We don't want to, we're not part of this disposable society.
Yeah. So I think those are the main ones. The only other questions come up just in general is that I see a couple of times is, will we get a copy of this presentation? And the answer is yes. We will send that out in a follow-up email, a PDF copy of that. So you will get that as well.
Absolutely. And in that version, you will have a correct URL code, so you can go and take the survey for the webinar, because I have moved it to a server where you should get anonymous access now. So I think it just leaves for us, Dan, to say we hope you've enjoyed doing this Domino deep dive with us. You will see there that that's an I Love Domino flight tag that I believe is that.
Yes, it is. It's just because of the water, it somewhat
Okay.
turns it into blue. But see, this is dedication. People are really diving deep for Domino. So I hope you do as well. And I hope you are going to join the upcoming webinars.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for joining, everyone. Sorry we started late. We promise to be on time next week. So with that, I'd like to thank Thomas for joining me, Dan for setting up the webinar, and for all of you for joining us. My name's Tim Clark. I've been joined by Thomas Ample, and we'll see you all next week for the next webinar.
Thank you all. Bye.